Hello friends, welcome to Treasure channel. In this video, we will discuss about Nile Limited. Like you know, I will talk about 4 points. Firstly, we will talk about the history, second, business, third, management, and lastly, we will discuss about the financials. So let's discuss about the history first. The company was started in 1984 by the name of Navbharat Industrial Lining and Equipment Private Limited. The company started production in 1987 and it mostly produced the glass lining equipments which is mostly used in pharmaceuticals. In 1995, it started diversifying its products, started manufacturing pressure vessel and other glass lined equipments like which is made of steel or stainless steel. In the same year, in 1995, the company changed its name from Navbharat Industrial Lining and Equipment Private Limited to Nile. You have to remember that it is not the acronym of Nile. Nile is a different company. Its name changed from Navbharat Industrial Lining Equipment Private Limited to Nile. You can't consider that N for Navbharat, I for Industrial. It has wholly changed its name. In the same year, it has installed 2 megawatt wind farm in Ravangiri in Andhra Pradesh. Though the revenue contribution of this wind farm is very low, it is even lesser than 0.5%, so I will not consider further investigating in this wind farm. In 1997, the company received some technology from an Italian company which is known as Kober. The company's name is Kober, though I don't find any much description about this company because glass lining equipment was sold to another French company in 2012, which I am going to discuss later. In 1998, company started manufacturing glass line equipments and the quality of the glass line equipment is so much good that it started exporting this glass lining equipment to Malaysia, Singapore and China. After that, in 1999, the company started producing lead recycling plant in Chotupai. The capacity of that plant is 3000 ton per annum, means it can produce 3000 ton per annum of lead. Company get to know that the demand for lead in the future is going to be very high. That's why the company started expanding its lead division from 1999 to 2021, which we will discuss later. In 1999, company started producing lead from the recycled battery part. It can cater the lead demand of the country. The company started because of the reason that India was the lead importer at that time. India still is the lead importer, though the ratio is 50-50. It means 50% we import and 50% we produce in India. So at that time lead was scarce, so the company started manufacturing lead from the scrap batteries. The company started focusing mainly on the lead recycling plant because the margin as compared to glass lining equipment was far better in lead than compared to that old glass lining equipment. So in 2005, the company expanded its lead division and started producing 6000 ton per annum from 2005. In 2009, company set up second plant in Tirupati, whose capacity was around 20,000 ton per annum. The company set up its second plant in Tirupati for Amara Raja, basically for Amara Raja, because the plant of Amara Raja is situated around Andhra Pradesh, around Tirupati. That's why Nile has set up its second manufacturing plant in Tirupati, whose capacity is around 20,000 ton per annum. In the same year, the company expanded its Chotubai capacity to 12,000 ton per annum. And we will see in the future that the company has expanded its manufacturing facility from 12,000 to 75,000 in Chotupai area. Though it is not producing whole of the 75,000 ton per annum every year, but it has taken the approval from Andhra Pradesh Pollution Control Board so that it does not have to worry about further expansion. It can easily produce 75,000 ton per annum of lead without further approval from the Andhra Pradesh Pollution Control Board. Apart from that, in 2010, company has gone with a joint venture with a Georgia company, but the joint venture did not work well, and due to which in 2012 the company went collapse. If you see the 2013 data and 14 data, you will clearly see that company have mentioned 45 lakh loss in 2013 and 2014. The loss that happened in 2012 because of this joint venture, the company write off this loss in 2013 and 14. In 2012, like I said earlier, the glass line division was sold to a French company, De Dierarchi India Private Limited, something like that its name was or is. So the glass lining division is sold and now the management is focusing only on the lead division, which is from my perspective is good because if management focuses on multiple division, it can't focus on one business, which might result in collapse of other businesses. So from my perspective, it is good that company focuses on only one division and it is lead. Now we will talk about the business model. The main business model of Nile is one side it has a raw material and it produces lead and mostly sold to Amara Raja. Almost 80% of the lead is sold to Amara Raja. First we will consider the sales. See, if we see the from 2008 to 12, we see that the sales has grown 20%. But if we move further and if we see that from 2012 to 2018, the company has grown to 15% its sales. But on going further from 2012 to 2021, the company's sales has grown by just 7.7%. From this we can clearly see that the sales growth of Nile is not good if we compare it with the old year data around 2007 to 2012 data, where it was growing at approximately 20%. From this we can say that the growth of the company's sales has slowed down. Company has increased its production capacity though, but the sales has not grown comparatively with the production capacity. To understand this, we have to first understand the raw material, how raw material are available to Nile. The major raw material of Nile is scrap battery and maybe ore, but the company has not mentioned anything about the ore, so I don't consider that Nile is making any lead from ore. So let's discuss about the scrap battery only. Nile got this raw material of scrap battery directly from market, from the common people or through auction. We all know that the auctions are done by big companies, big telecom companies or big battery companies. Nile does not have any collaboration with these big players as compared to Gravita India, which has collaboration with major telecom companies from where they got the raw material of scrap batteries. You can clearly see its impact on the gross profit margin of the company. I am not going to discuss about how lead are extracted from the scrap batteries, which you can learn by just googling. From here I will talk about lead only. The lead is extracted from the scrap battery. Now Nile need to sell that. Nile approaches the company and told the company that they can provide lead at a price lower than LME. The company which is going to purchase is also happy because they are getting the lead at less than LME price. But when they check the Indian market, that which are the companies that are providing the lead at a price less than LME, then they see that there are more than 100 companies that are selling the lead at less than the LME price. So Nile's 80% revenue comes from Amara Raja, and Nile does not have any moat, and lead is a commodity. Plus there are hundreds of competitors in the business, so Nile does not have the upper hand in the agreement. In this case, Amara Raja has the upper hand and it negotiates with Nile. What Amara did is, Amara pays Nile a specific amount, a fixed amount, so that Nile can pay to its employee, to its raw material suppliers and its manufacturing cost. Amara give a premium to Nile, but it is not on the fixed cost that the Amara paid to Nile. Amara subtracts the LME price from the fixed cost and difference is used to calculate the premium, from where the company pays premium to Nile. From where we can see that if the lead price in LME increases, the operating profit margin of Nile increases, and the same thing happened in reverse wise. If the lead price of LME decreases, the premium of Nile decreases, which you can clearly see in the efficiency part of the section. This is all about the business model. Now let's discuss about how efficiently the company is growing. First we will talk about the operating profit margin. We can clearly see that the operating profit margin of Nile is around 5%. If we see carefully, we can see that it is highly dependent on the raw material prices and the lead prices of LME. How lead price of LME has impacted Nile's operating profit margin I have already discussed about in the business section. And the second one, raw material prices, which you already know that raw material are the significant part of any business and also for the Nile also. And if the raw material prices increases for any reason, the profitability also impacted, resulting in operating profit margin going down. Now we will talk about the net fixed asset turnover. If we check the net fixed asset turnover of the company, it is in increasing trend and is increasing at a very high rate. In 2012, the net fixed asset turnover of Nile was around 5.9 and now it is around 14%. Last year it was around 20%. You can clearly see that the company's trend of net profit asset turnover is quite high, and because of that there are a lot of competitors. If the net fixed asset turnover of any company is high and it is not backed by any patent or moat, then the competition in that business is going to be quite high, which you can clearly see that there are more than hundreds of companies, more than 100 companies that are selling lead, and Nile is one of. So it has more than 100 plus competitors which are selling lead, and because of that the profit margin is very low. When there is competition and the competition is just because of the price, then the one that sells the product at the lowest price is going to get the market, whole market. And Nile's profit margin is around, net profit margin is around 2%, which is clear indication of very high competition. So you have to understand the business model. It is good or bad, it depends on the type of business you are dealing with. It is a commodity business, so every commodity business, whether it's Nile or any other, the net profit margin of that business, if it is not backed by any patent or moat, then it is going to be impacted. Its profit margin is going to be impacted heavily. Now we will talk about working capital turnover ratio. It is decreasing and decreasing consistently from 2013 to 2021. The formula for working capital turnover ratio is, in numerator we took sales and in denominator we took current asset minus current liabilities. In the starting of business model, I have clearly mentioned that the sales growth of Nile in 2007 to 2017 was around 20%. But if we calculate the last 10-year data from 2012 to 2021, the sales growth is around 7.7%. So the sales of the company has decreased, means the way the company was increasing its sales previously was not replicated in the recent years. That's why the working capital turnover ratio is not quite high. Now we will talk about inventory days. The inventory days of Nile is around 45 to 50 days. If we check the last 10-year data, if we exclude 1 or 2 of inventory days, then we can clearly see that the overall data comes to between 45 to 50 days. If we see the data from 2012 to 2016, the inventory days of the company was decreasing, means company is selling the product faster as compared to 2012. But from 2017, the inventory days of company is increasing. It's because that Amara Raja is not purchasing so much lead from Nile, and it is because that the auto sales from 2016-17 has not been so much good, and due to this reason the inventory days of the company from 2016 has increased rapidly from 16 to 21. After that we will discuss about the receivable days. If you see the actual data of receivables in the annual report, you can check that from 2012 to 2014 company receivables have increased, means company get late payment. We can say that company get late payment from 2012 to 14. From 2015 to 2017 you can see that it has an abrupt decrease in the receivable days. It is because of the bill discounting that company used, and because of that, if you do not understand the bill discounting, let me clear that point first, that if Nile sold some products to Amara Raja and Amara Raja gave him an invoice which the Nile company took it and submitted to the bank considered that Amara Raja is a big company, and because of that the money that's written on the invoice is given to the Nile company by taking some charges backed by the bank. So from 2015 to 17 the receivable days of the company has decreased significantly, but if you calculate the bill discounting with the receivable days, you can see that the receivable days is around 50 days. From 2017 to 2021 it is still around 50 days. Overall we can say that Amara is paying to Nile, but it is considered as a late payment because Amara is the 80% contributor of revenue of Nile. That's why we can say that if the receivable days of company is increasing, means Amara Raja is doing some late payment, and you can clearly see that the payable days of Amara Raja is increasing continuously, means it is paying its suppliers, whether it's Nile or any other. Now we will talk about the payable days, which is very low. We have previously discussed that company is using bill discounting, and because of that company got the payment very soon, and because of that company is paying its suppliers too fast. So you can clearly see that from 2015 to 21 the payable days of Nile is around 1 to 2. So we can say that from bill discounting company can directly approach the people from where they can collect the raw material, but if the Nile go through auction, then there is probability that company they can pay the price of the auction in later days, but the margin is quite impacted because the auction price as compared to the battery price purchased from common people is quite high. This is all about the efficiency of the business. Now we will talk about the management. In the management section, we will first discuss about the shareholding pattern. You can clearly see that the shareholding pattern of the company has increased significantly from 47.8% to 50.4%. Now second, we will discuss about remuneration, means how much the company is paying to its managers or board members. You can clearly see that in 2010, the remuneration to PAT ratio was around 13.6 and now it is around 20%. So management is paying very high salary to its board members. I consider a company good if the remuneration to the PAT percentage of that company is less than 5%. Now we will talk about succession plan. The company was started by V. Ramesh and his wife has the majority of shareholding, V. Rajeshwari, and they have a son named Sandeep V. Ramesh who is going to succeed in the company, and there is no conflict going on. So the succession plan is quite smooth. Now we will talk about cases or scam. The management, I couldn't find any significant case against the management or even the company. So I can't discuss anything about that. If you found something, I would recommend you to post that in the comment section so that I can read and learn from you also. After that, we will talk about the related party transaction. 2 points of related party transactions quite made me suspicious about the company. First is that the management is giving loan to the company at a very high rate, approximately at 12%. If the company took loan from the bank directly, then the amount that the company have to pay is around 10% or 11%. But the management is paying the loan to the company and it is even higher than the bank rate, which quite confused me. Second thing is that from the company's perspective, management is taking money in the form of FD. These are the 2 points that confused me about the related party transaction. If you found anything about other than that about related party transaction, I suggest you to kindly post that in the comment section. After that, we will talk about some financials. In the financial section, first I will talk about whether the company can go bankrupt in 5 to 6 years or 5 to 10 years. I will consider only 2 points here. First, the debt, which is very low. In the next few sections, I will talk about debt to equity, where you can see that the debt to equity of the company has reduced significantly. And from competition's perspective, I will consider that the company has able to manage its profitability for the last 20 years in the lead business. So I consider that because of the competition, in 5 to 6 years, the company is not going to be bankrupt because of its long history. Now talking about return on equity. The company's return on equity is around 10 to 12% except in 2013, 17 and 18. In 2013, the company sold the glass lining business, and because of that, the other income of the company has increased significantly, and which resulted in a heavy abrupt in the return on equity. And in 2017-18, the lead price in LME has increased, and because of that, the operating profit margin of the company is increased in those years. And which are the reasons that resulted in increased ROE in 13, 17 and 18. You have to consider all points. If you want to check the data more effectively of return on equity, you can calculate the DuPont analysis of return on equity, where you can analyze each aspect: margin, return on asset and financial leverage of the company individually. After that, we will discuss about debt to equity, which the company's debt to equity has reduced significantly. In 2006, it was around 0.93%, and from that year, the company's debt to equity has increased to 1.78. In 2012, the company sold its glass lining division, and because of that, the company paid all its debt from that year. Now, the company's debt to equity is around 0.15%, which is in the comfortable zone. Now we will talk about the margin, operating profit margin. I have already discussed about that in the efficiency section. The operating profit margin of the company is around 4.5 to 5%, which is not high, and it is a commodity business, and because of that, the operating profit margin is so low. Now talking about the net profit margin, the company's net profit margin revolves around 2%. The cash flow of the company is overall positive because in the last 10 years, the company has able to generate operating cash flow from its core business, and it has spent around 30 crore in investing and 122 crore in financing. The 122 crore of financing is spent on paying the debt. From debt to equity section, you can clearly see this. The company is using that operating activities cash in investing and financing activities effectively. It is not taking leverage. After that, we will discuss about the working capital. Working capital of the company is slightly positive, means current asset of the company is greater than current liabilities, and due to this reason the short-term borrowing of the company is not significant. Now we will talk about CFO versus PAT. It is because of the reason that can the company making profit is converted into cash or not. It is for this reason I am going to check here. If you see the last 10-year data, the PAT of the company is around 132 crore, and if you see the cash generated from operating activities is around 152 crore. So you can clearly see that the profit that are generated is converted into cash. Company is able to generate that. Now we will talk about the last part, valuation, where we will discuss only about two, PE and discounted free cash flow. From the PE perspective, the profit of the company for the last 3 years around 12 crore, and if we consider PE of 6 or 10, the valuation of the company is around 72 crore or 120 crore. I am not considering a PE of 20 because it is a commodity business, and I don't consider a PE multiple of 20 for a commodity business. So from my perspective, the valuation of the company is around 72 crore to 120 crore. And right now the company is trading at 156 crore, which is higher than the PE range. And from the perspective of discounted cash flow method, the free cash flow of the company is around 12 crore. From my calculation, the company's valuation from this free cash flow is around 150 crore to 200 crore. And because of that, I consider that the company is trading at the lower multiple. If the company is trading below the PE or discounted free cash flow method, I am not going to purchase that. I will consider different points. It is just a way to check whether the company is trading at a very high valuation or not. If you find anything difficult to understand, I suggest you to write in the comment section.